Would you say it's more like just kind of as we reboot the computer? You know, a lot of times things are running slow. We turn it off, turn it back on, it seems to run. Or is it more like that cleaning our cache files out so that we're getting rid of all this extra junk that just is slowing down our ability to process?
I think it's a little bit of both. Like the metaphor applies in both cases, where there is the rebooting effect, and Robin Carhart Harris, who's one of the leading researchers, psychedelic science researchers at UCSF, has likened it to getting access to default factory settings again. And so, we accumulate all of this conditioning and thought patterns and ways of being over the course of our lives. And a lot of times, especially in response, if it's in response to an adverse childhood experience or another traumatic experience over the course of life, which that is the nature of life, are these tragic experiences. Well, they can leave an outsized imprint on us that through our self-protective coping mechanisms, which are part of our healthy defenses, but they can go from adaptive to maladaptive. It gets really hard to shake that sometimes, and so it helps to just shut everything down and reboot. And but then also in the psychedelic journey itself, there is a lot of that cleaning out those old the memory and of sorts. And so there can be a lot of emotional processing of emotional debt. There is a lot of cathartic completions of certain loops or memories, or we revisit certain memories to integrate the pain from those experiences that we haven't fully integrated. Just briefly in the pre-show, you brought up an example of a woman who went through a traumatic experience, and a piece of her fragmented off in that way, which is part of our protective coping mechanism while she was very young. And with psychedelics, she was able to, through a journey, retrieve that part of herself that had been fragmented off. And so we have language for this that is squarely psychotherapeutic and that sort of thing. But there's also, if you were to talk to an energy healer or something, or more of a spiritual, take a more spiritual angle, we call it soul retrieval. But it's that coming, healing. The etymology of the word to heal means to come into wholeness again. And so, it used to be, you bring up my language sounding very Christian. If you look at the roots of all major religions, this idea of, you can see it is fascinating and makes it, we can certainly start to make conjectures about the roots of, modern day religions being mystical in nature, and who knows what medicinal potions people were drinking then, and writing these stories and coming up with these shared myths. But yes, it is I would say coherent with specifically the Christian faith, in terms of these concepts of the suffering and the dying and the rebirth process. And there's a very rich community of people who come from the Christian faith, still ascribe to the Christian faith, and are exploring psychedelics as well. It is not in conflict with that at all. With the belief system. And I think that's the beautiful part about these medicines too, is they work very well with various belief systems. And so there's no reason why you couldn't incorporate it. And many of my clients come from the Christian faith or the Mormon faith. We have people who grew up with an Islamic background, obviously Judeo-Christian backgrounds. To me, the really inspiring thing about this medicine is that all people seem to be called to it.